Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ring Down Below, a Blades in the Dark actual play using Blades in the Dark, the system developed by John Harper and published by Evil Hat Productions and 1-7 Design. I'm Eli Kurtz, your game master, and we are going to do some player introductions and then jump right into this thing. Jeremy, let's start with you.
Try to use the hotkey again, and that didn't work. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeremy. I have the YouTube channel, The Erasmus Expeditions. I do live plays, have videos where I talk about RPGs, things like that. I'm also 1/3 of the Dudes of Yore podcast with my friends Jeff Doty and Chad Nick. Come over and check us out on YouTube as well. I'm going to be stepping back into the long, dark coat of Benjamin Overstreet, better known as Benji. He's a canal racer. And honestly, he's not doing so hot. He's had better times, and I think retirement might be just around the corner. But we'll have to wait and see.
We'll see. He's got a weird habit of sticking around, though. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Like a bad penny.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Baron.
Welcome, everyone. I am Baron, and I am playing a character who is new as of last session to the Electric Easel, Valeris.
Yeah.
A longtime, the daughter of a longtime contact of our very own Jonathan Black, who we may get to see tonight. So, yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. And last but not least, Derek.
I'm Derek. I'm a small part of the Mythic Guest here. Be playing Clink tonight, the lovable scamp who likes to blow things up. This is Wilma. Say hi, Wilma. Looking forward to seeing everyone. Baron, Jeremy, it's good to see you guys. Looking forward to see what mischief we get into tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so one last thing before we get started. This actual play and everything on this channel is produced by the Mythic Gazetteer. The Mythic Gazetteer is also a member of the IGDN, the Indie Game Developer Network. And I like to highlight other IGDNers every episode. And so this time I wanted to highlight Pardon Us Gaming. This is the brainchild of Dennis Perizek and his wife, Deborah Hunig Perizek. Dennis passed away a few years ago, and Deborah has stepped in to fill his shoes, creating his, at the time, unpublished RPG called Everyverse RPG. I remember a couple of years ago when the Kickstarter hit, and it's become quite a success, I think. There's been some support for the product afterward, and it's a pretty fun little universal role-playing game. So if you haven't, you should check out Pardon Us Gaming and their game Everyverse RPG. I'll have a link to their website in the show notes. And with no further ado, let's get started with this thing. Welcome, listeners. KMGX and its affiliated stations are proud to present Gazetteer Radio's program, Ring Down Below, a tale of labor and struggle from the pitch-dark canals of Duskfall. Since our last score, the Ministry of Preservation has made progress in its quest to stop the Dockers Union wage negotiations, and the Dockers inch closer to secretly securing their own Leviathan Hunter ship and crew. We go now to the hidden lair of the Electric Eek, where an old friend checks in on the crew. So, as usual, we find ourselves hovering over the waters of the Void Sea, and we can see ahead of us the city, lit by the light of a gigantic lightning wall encircling everything. And we race toward the city, and we come over the waters of the bay, and we can see the docks set up, and we can see Silk Shore opposed to it, and even further to the left we can see White Crown, which is the area where they've got the official military base, the academy in the city, and also the palace of the king of the city, of the High Lord of the city. But we're not going to White Crown. In fact, we're taking a right, and we're going to Silk Shore. And we wend through the canals of Silk Shore, and we see, rundown theaters, and we see apartments cobbled together and stacked really high in this land of perpetual night. And we see the red lanterns hanging outside of houses of ill repute. And we find ourselves moving out of the canals and into a side street, dilapidated side street with a lot of old, rundown buildings, mostly abandoned. And we stop just outside of one of these buildings in particular. It's an old warehouse. Looks like it hasn't been used in years, but inside we know is the home of the Electric Eek, that wonderful racing boat, and the very brave crew that pilots it, along with a brand new face, Ezel Valeris. However, inside there is a fourth person right now. I want to know, what is it like when Jonathan Black pays a visit to his old stomping ground here in the warehouse? Is it festive? Is it? I remember there was a little bit of bad blood between Benji and Jonathan last time. Benji was struggling with a ghost haunting, and well, Jonathan wasn't entirely understanding because that's sort of Jonathan's entire life. So, Benji, what is your feeling about Jonathan now that he's sort of stepped back from the crew and he's become the chief in charge of the Union?
The hotkey still doesn't work. I think Benji is curt to Jonathan. I think there's not a lot of outward animosity much anymore, but it's not really like the kindness that they once had between each other. The trust has been wounded there, and it has not mended yet for Benji. And I think occasionally, maybe not tonight, but occasionally, Benji has probably blown up at Jonathan over something much smaller than it should be.
Cool, yeah, so still some bad blood. They never quite cleared the air between the two of them, I guess. That's too bad. And Clank, what does Clank feel about Jonathan Black? I mean, they didn't really have a whole lot of direct interactions, but of course they were in races together and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, you might say Clank blows up at him too, but it's a little differently in Clank's case. Clank likes to hand out things, and I mean, I guess Jonathan doesn't race with him anymore, right?
Yeah, no, he's too busy.
He's far too busy
administrating the Union.
So Clank likes to show off his new inventions and things, and I think Jonathan still has all of his fingers. I'm not sure about that, but Clank tries to keep it like, hey, here's I've been up to since you were gone last, or here last.
Cool. All right, and what's Ezel's relationship with Jonathan?
For at least more recently, he is essentially her godfather. This is my uncle, basically. So a certain, there's definitely she's happy he's here, or when he shows up.
Cool. Yeah, so I imagine then this scene, Jonathan's kind of sprawled on the ratty couch, and actually, I want to know too, Benji, this is your family's warehouse. There was this giant spool that used to be the table that you would lay stuff out on, but that got destroyed. What did you replace it with?
I think it's several, that they would ship some kind of like mushrooms or some kind of like root vegetables in that he managed to basically just swipe from somewhere.
Nice.
And laid out on top of them is just this large sign that he actually stole from outside of somebody's shop one night. He brought it home and was drunk and didn't even remember. Very
cool. And
I will say the seating is the seats from the Grinders race boat.
Very good, very good. And Ezel, this sign, it's from a particular establishment. What kind of establishment is it?
This is I want to say this is like a help wanted sign for a warehouse that manufactures like parts for the lightning wall, like maybe like a coil, not like spool coil, but like small like spark plugs or something. This was like almost like a easel. That you can collapse and like expand so it stands on itself, but it's a big like help wanted sign or something like that.
All right, cool. Yeah, so then Jonathan is kind of lounging on the couch and he's got his feet propped up on the sign, and it's of course weighed down by a bunch of stuff on the table, so he can do that without tilting it. But it still looks a little iffy sometimes. It's like tilting up every here and there, and I imagine, Ezel's somewhere nearby, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You're telling me that you snuck out right from under the Bluecoat's nose in that gambling hall, eh?"
Oh, Uncle Jonathan, you'd be so impressed. It was really quite the scene.
Wish I could have seen their faces, darling. I bet it was wonderful.
Do you, and Clink comes up. Do you tell your old uncle here about that little spot of trouble you got in?
Trouble? What kind of trouble?
Well, you see, I was intercepted on my way back by some sort of masked figure. We fought for a moment, but I gave him the slip.
And they got away?
It was a mutual thing, I'm afraid. We were in a bit of a endeavor at the moment. I couldn't deal with whoever it was as much as I would have liked to.
Well, if you wouldn't guess that, Benji, is she telling the truth? Has she got herself a rival now?
Something like that. Kind of like dabs at his chin, right where his lip is, because he's got this big, huge, busted lip. It's all swollen up still.
That's right.
Purple and black.
So she got a rival, and you just got a shiner then, eh?
Well, I guess we all sometimes end up with what we're after, whether we like it or not.
Oh, Uncle Jonathan, Benji was very brave. He single-handedly fought the Bluecoats.
Single-handedly, eh? That sounds about like Benji. He's a reckless devil.
He's a friend of hers, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
Yes, Dermal. I don't know how much I've told you about him, Uncle Jonathan. He's an ex-boyfriend.
Well, with a blue coat, I'm sure it's good he's an ex.
Yeah.
So, we've been drinking tonight, but I've got to lay out my cards for you. You see...
Clank interrupts him and hands him a sandwich.
Thank you, Clank. Always a pleasure.
You're welcome. We're practicing.
Oh, this is really good. You save these skills for Tuto, or you just give him the scraps?
He complains a lot, so I gotta try.
Yeah. All right, good. He's keeping you honest. Here's my conundrum. Now, I've got... You remember how you helped the Dockers in the past, and... Well, you were their mascot in a lot of ways. And I'm sure it's been a while since you've been to the races. Probably itching to get back, aren't you?
You want us to race?
No.
Sounds hopeful, and then dashed.
See, the thing is, the races ain't coming back so long as the ministry's got its stranglehold on the docks. Got too many snooping noses around, We're not going to be able to put in the water without people noticing. But, you see, the ministry's also in the docks because... As you know, the dockers are negotiating for better wages. I'm pretty wrapped up in that myself, and I'll be honest, it's frustrating. I don't have much skill with the negotiations. I'm more of a snoop, right?
Yep.
Well,
I'll talk to him. Those bigwigs don't scare me.
Here's what I think, Clank. I think you are a man of particular skill, right? And he's up at this point.
I'm speaking.
He's up at this point and he's walking around, but he's taking care to step in particular places and like only the squeakiest boards, you know. He's like, I remember, Clank. I remember what you do. I remember what you do best. And, well, I've come to ask a favor. See here. The Ministry has got us up against the wall. They think that they can stop the Union from negotiating wages, which is the first thing we're trying to do. And they think if they succeed, we'll lose all our credibility, right? We don't want to do that. We need our credibility, and those dockers need their wages. They need better wages for their families. You agree, Benji?
I suppose so. Yes.
So what?
Point here somewhere.
Yeah, right. So, what the dockers need from you, mates, is, well, we need to divide the Ministry's attention.
I'm good at distractions.
Yeah, you're pretty good at distractions, but we're looking for something long-lasting as well, you know. We're looking for a real thorn in their side. Make sure they can't devote. I believe you could, mate. I believe you could. Ezel, what do you know about the Ministry?
Eli, what do I know about the Ministry?
You know that the Ministry of Preservation is in charge of basically all of the food production and a lot of the transportation in the city. You also know that Lady Roslyn is a member of the Ministry of Preservation. That's what she does for work. And that's enough, I think.
I think she really liked Clink, so I think we got an in.
Shit.
Well, from what I can tell, they're willing to take any kind of raff off the street for work. But outside of managing the food and the transportation, I can't say my knowledge extends too deeply into their affairs.
Well, here's a morsel for you. Turns out that the Ministry doesn't want the dockers to get more money. They also don't want their own people to get more money. And whatever you do, you might be able to get a couple turncoats out of it. Maybe get some ears behind enemy lines, as it were.
Clink just yells, "Share the wealth!"
That's exactly right, Clank.
So, we establish these acquaintances, and hopefully these relationships pay off. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Is the money
Money?
pay them to pay ourselves for risking what we have to risk?
It's a good question. I would imagine they've got quite a lot stored away in their vaults.
But no guarantees.
Well, I mean, the dockers could take a collection, but I'm not sure it would be much.
Of course not.
But
I mean, if we need money, I think Tuto had a lot last week.
Tuto, he did have a lot of money, and we convinced him to put it back in his bank account where it belongs. But, Ezel, I know you. I know your father. Why don't you just take some money from the Ministry if you need it? I'm sure they wouldn't miss it too bad.
A smile expands my face, cheek or ear to ear. Well, now, Uncle Jonathan, what on earth could you be insinuating? Stealing?
Of course, you know me, I've gone straight. I wouldn't suggest anything that's below board now. But whatever ideas come into your head, I don't want to stifle the creative process.
Clink says, or below deck.
Was that a euphemism?
What's a euphemism?
Jonathan kind of looks over at Benji, and he's like, "Ah, I remember." Well, anyway, one more toast, and I'll leave you to it. I should probably turn in early.
You want toast? I didn't toast the sandwich.
I know. Better luck next time. Here's, what are we toasting to, huh?
Good sleep. Benji arranges his glass.
All right. Good sleep, then. Here we are. To good sleep.
Cheers.
Lucky for those who have it. He clinks the glass and downs the whole thing.
All right. Jonathan's going to put on his coat. It's kind of a rainy night. And make his way back home. So, we are in a situation where you know that some help is needed. And you know your target, and you know that maybe you can get some money and some informants out of the deal. But beyond that, the work is nebulous. And what I think I'd like to do is to do a round of some gather information or some snooping around in some way or another to see if you guys can figure out potential targets, potential work that could be around, that sort of thing.
Well, if you guys don't mind, I can start us off. So, Ezel is a very studious individual. She spends a lot of her time at school or in the various sectors outlying her academic studies, which I would believe gives me some sort of access to a library or some sort of institution that catalogs information of stuff that happens in the city, history or otherwise.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I would like to maybe study for information into the ministry's kind of either architecture or their foundation of the ministry itself. Anything that I can get that would give me insight into the inner workings of this operation.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So let's see here. You want to study to figure out some sort of...
Well, we've referenced this vault of potential money that they may or may not have. That would probably be the forefront of my investigation. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. So you want to try and find the location of this vault then, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Any location, individuals that are involved in the operations of the vault, security details. I'm hitting the books as hard as I can to find out anything and everything about the ministry's vault of coin.
Okay.
Is there any way that I could help him with this?
Yeah, let me see here. For gather information, I think it's mostly a solitary action.
I'll probably just end up doing the same thing with a separate role.
Yeah. You like what we could do is resolve his role and then you can build on it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, there might be details that you want to follow up on or something like that. Cool. So let's then go ahead and get this study roll. So you want to hit the books in the academy libraries and you want to try and figure out the paper trail between the Ministry of Preservation and this mysterious vault.
Yes. Who's paying into the vault? What are situations where money comes out of the vault? Obviously, there are like the visible transactions that the ministry goes through, but if there's anything of interest that I can pick up.
Sure.
This is kind of a vague question. I'm sorry, but
no. That's totally fine. Let's see how this turns out.
So controlled position.
Yeah, position and effect don't matter for this one.
Hey, started us strong
A
with a
6.
6.
Okay, so what that means is that you get even more detail than you were expecting. What you find out is that the Ministry of Preservation is a legitimate entity in the city, but like many legitimate entities in the city, they have a lot of cover identities for their illegitimate business that they conduct. Specifically, the Ministry of Preservation sometimes operates under the cover of the North Hook Company, which is also a legitimate business, but it's not a government business. And so it's able to operate in some ways that the government entity is not able to. And the North Hook Company is located in the docks, as a matter of fact. It is, if you look at the map on the game board, it is item number 4, pretty much right next to the menagerie where we stole all those animals that one time.
We freed those animals.
Of course, yes, liberated them. Yeah, you're right. And Izel, so you hit the books in this place, and you are walking around kind of on your way back from the library, and you notice that there are a bunch of new posters that have been plastered every couple of blocks in the dock area. They are these black posters that have white ink on them, and it's an image of the Void Sea and these tentacles that are coming up out of the water. And the tentacles are wrapping around this text that says, "The sea knows something we don't." And it looks like kind of artistic. Like maybe this is a show that's being put on somewhere or something, but like there are enough of them spread around the docks that it's sticking out to you. You're not, it's a noteworthy kind of thing. And anyway, you come back with the knowledge that the Ministry of Preservation operates under the guise of the North Hook Company for a lot of their less savory business. And the vault is located in the North Hook Company building.
So we know Tuto, who works for the North Hook Company, correct? He's the
Tuto
janitor there?
is one of the dockers. Or did he work for the North Hook Company? I guess he was
I mean,
sweeping
it was his identity that I took on that one mission.
It's true, yeah. I think we can do this 2 ways. I think what I had done is that he was a North Hook Company employee, but then most recently I was assuming that he was a dock worker instead. So either we can say
wages for a janitor in Duskfall don't pay all the bills. So.
Right. Yeah, he could have more than one job. We could say that he was fired from the North Hook Company and he works for the dockers now. We could say that
Don't make enough money, so he has to have 2 jobs.
there we go. Okay,
This is
yeah.
exactly it.
So he's double dipping. He's catching work wherever he can get it. Because yeah, I imagine the docker situation, especially now that they formed a union, is that a lot of non-unionized dock workers are showing up, and they're basically just lining up and seeing which one of them can get hired in the day. And the union is actually working to try and make that a hard thing to do. They want to bring everybody into the union so that that sort of thing can't happen, and the dock masters can't exploit them in that way. Cool, but Tuto is kind of struggling still. He's double dipping in some different work, and so we know that information. Benji, do you want to follow up on that? Do you guys want to have a conversation back at the lair for a little while first? What do you think?
Okay, don't mean to interrupt Jeremy, but okay, on that mission we got, and I'm sorry, we took some sort of device that was being shipped to someone, and so who was that being shipped to? I forget.
Mr. Fitz, the guy who's the, I guess, businessman who hires Jenna, Benji's ex-girlfriend.
Okay, so I just wanted to remind everyone that we also had that connection. That person had a connection with Norfolk.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Fitz and the Norfolk Company definitely work together.
So, I think instead of doing the research for this vault at the library, Benji wants to do the similar like to a similar end, but to ask around, to schmooze with the people that he knows and runs in circles with.
Sure.
And ply his trade that way.
Yeah, I would say especially some of the noble contacts that you have might know a thing or two about the North Hook Company or about the Ministry of Preservation and that sort of thing.
Especially if I know people who might be in, like bookkeeping, things like that, that might potentially have some of this inside information.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. So you're gonna go. You're gonna go like mingle with them and try and weasel this information out of them. Maybe get them liquored up and get them to spill some beans or something.
Yeah, exactly. Take them around to the bar, buy a few rounds for them.
Cool.
Rub shoulders at parties, that kind of thing.
Sure. Maybe post up in Peg Leg Pete's, that kind of ritzy bar that you've been to once or twice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. All right, and what action are you using to do this?
I think this is probably consort.
Yeah.
A lot of these people are people that are probably friends of my parents, those kinds of people that I'm trying to talk to. So it's definitely acquaintances that way.
That sounds good.
Okay. So position would be...
position and effect don't matter for this.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy cow, that's a critical. Well, okay.
I got it in.
Let's see. You do really well. You exceed all expectations, and you find out quite a lot of information. So let's see here. There is a... Actually, you tell me what contact you get in touch with. What kind of person is this?
So this individual was like the bookkeeper, but not just the normal bookkeeper. He was the one that kept the dirty books. He's the one that he probably actually we know him because Salia has actually hired this guy, and he's doing the same thing for Salia now. Is he's keeping two different sets of books, one that shows the actual bookkeeping, and the other one that's got it all doctored up so that whenever the blue coats come around. And he used to do the same thing for the North Hook Company.
Very good. Okay, so somebody write this down. This guy's name is Noggs, Noggs. And get excited, because you're at Peg Leg Pete's, and Noggs is a couple martinis in. He's a couple grogs into his Noggs. And he's like, "Oh, I have such a headache now. This is... Oh, I shouldn't be drinking this much."
It's yeah. You're quite thirsty.
I am thirsty. This martini's really drying out my mouth. I need some water.
Well, it could be the 6 olives that you're taking.
Olives are delicious, though. So wait, why did you bring me out here?
I know you're a big fan of martinis, and they've got the best martini in town.
I am a fan of martini. Wait, am I? I don't like what they do to me, but I just love olives so much. If they come in a drink, I can't say no. You know what I don't love, though? I got fired. I got fired by the North Hook Company because I got uncomfortable with one of their jobs. Oh.
Because you knew too much.
Yes. I just know a lot. And
well, you're a smart man.
I am. I really am. I'm very smart.
You worked very hard to get where you are.
I work so hard, and it's not appreciated.
No.
I told them, if they're going to bring in artifacts from the Void Sea and they want to get them transported safely, then they need to be careful about it, and they can't just hire a bunch of rubes off the street. And you know what? They were going to dock my pay for a whole week because of insubordination. Oh, I got such a stomach ache.
That's just terrible news.
And then
You have to take care of the people that work for you.
that's what I'm saying. And then they don't take care of me because now I don't even work for them because I had this stomach ache and they just kept yelling at me and making fun of me. And then I just lost it. I puked all over their shoes and they fired me on the spot.
Benji tries to stifle his laugh.
Oh, where are those olives?
Oh, I think maybe you should maybe not have any more. I think maybe you're complaining about not feeling so well. So
Nog shoots you a look.
oh, yeah, another martini, and he kind of waves for the bartender. Should this one be a double as well?
It should be a triple, is what it should be.
Why not?
What does that mean? Does that mean triple olives?
Yes, it does.
Oh, good.
It's gonna be a whole bunch of olives.
I really want to know what'll happen if it comes with an onion instead of an
olive. So the martini comes out, and he pops one of the olives in his mouth immediately, and he spits it out. Wait a second. There was not a little bit of squid inside this olive. It was a void onion. I hate void onions.
It seems as if no one appreciates you.
No, nobody does. Not even Pete of Peg Leg Pete. I feel really dizzy all of a sudden. Oh.
You know who does appreciate you?
Who does?
I do. I appreciate you.
Oh, he puts his hand on your shoulder and he like leans in really close and he's like, "You do?"
I do. Most assuredly.
Benji, it means the world to me. Let me tell you a secret, okay?
Oh. He kind of backs up and like pulls his shoes away from where this guy's like leaning over.
Oh. So here's the deal. I was fired yesterday and they told me that when I got, wait a second. This is before I got fired. They said that these artifacts they brought in from Lady on Kayat's ship, they were going to take them over to Bellwether Crematorium to get them analyzed by the spirit wardens. But they said it was going to be 2 days from then. So like 2 days from now, basically. But I know this guy. I know this jerk who fired me, and he is terrible with timing, and so I know that it's actually going to be another day because he just can't keep his life organized. He's in real trouble. He needs an assistant.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really bad.
You really should find a place to lie down.
I should. That's a good idea. And then he's just going to like fall asleep on the bar.
He pats him on the back, kind of turns his head sideways to make sure that he's not going to choke on his own vomit. And he's going to wave at the bartender and make sure that there's enough money on the table to cover everything.
Yeah. Bartender just kind of looks at the guy and... All right, so you've gathered quite a bit of information from your gather information as well, and I think it's time to head back to the lair and decide what to do about it.
Can Clink try to gather information about where he says this stuff is located?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. How do you think... Actually, so here's what I'm thinking. The stuff is almost certainly located in the vault, which is in the North Hook Company. And so the general location of that is known. You could gather information to find like the precise location, and that would maybe help with your engagement roll. Or you could do something to try and like ferret out these potential informants that you can get as a result of it as well.
How does that get us informants? I guess I wasn't paying attention.
Well, I mean, Jonathan said that there are people inside the ministry who are really not satisfied with the way that they're treated by the ministry. And so if you can finagle it while you're distracting the ministry, you might be able to get those people to be on your side on a long-term basis as well.
Okay. Then I will prowl and observe what's going on to see if I can find the people that are mistreated.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good. So you want to find out who are the weak links, I guess, in this operation.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's see that roll. Once again, position and effect don't matter. A 5. You find adequate information. So you prowl around. I imagine, like, without a flat-out success, you probably can't get inside the building. You might be able to, like, peer in from windows or something from a distance, but you probably can't infiltrate the actual building. So what are you doing as you prowl around? Or where are you situated in the city?
I'm using my brilliant disguise as a janitor, sweeping up the sidewalks just around that area. Clank doesn't plan ahead too much for that sort of thing. He's just kind of sweeping, listening, watching. If people tell him to move on, he moves on.
Yeah. There's this scrawny guy who's at the back door, and he's smoking an electroplasmic cigarette. And he's like, "Hey, Tuto! Hey, Tuto, come here. I haven't seen you in forever. How you doing?"
Clank looks around. He's thinking, I didn't know Tuto was around here.
Yes, you box of rocks. Get over here.
Oh, okay. Sir?
Sir? Who are you? God, Void knows I ain't any kind of authority around here.
Well, what do you do around here then?
You're such a kidder. Look at you. You know what I do. I help coordinate the loading and the unloading of the dock area. It's how we met. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
God.
They don't treat you well, do they?
No, they don't. They don't treat me well. And you know what? You got to take better care of that brain of yours, because if you keep forgetting all this stuff all the time, it's just not going to be good for you. Okay? You're young. You're a young man. You got to take care of your body.
Well, I've not been getting good food lately.
No?
Yeah, this guy owes me sandwiches, and he's not very good at it.
Well, you know what you got to do? You got to go give him a knuckle sandwich. You know what I'm saying?
Wouldn't that hurt if he ate my hand?
That's the idea. If you hurt him, then he's going to know I shouldn't muck around with this guy's sandwiches anymore.
Oh, well, shouldn't you give some of those to your boss then?
If I wanted to get stabbed in an alley, yeah, you bet I'd give him a knuckle sandwich, because I gotta say, I would like nothing more than to throw this guy under the bus, but I just don't think that's gonna happen, because I gotta make money too. Tuto, come on.
Do you want to throw him under a bus? I know a guy.
You...
Oh, no, I mean, allegedly.
Tell you what, let's talk about that later, all right? But I gotta say, if you're serious about this, I think we might have a deepening relationship happening right here.
What's your name?
My name? You don't remember my name. You're trying to tell me you don't remember my name? Is that what you're telling me?
Things kind of rattle up here.
Oh, God. You're not kidding. You're not kidding. Come on, man. I'm Chime. You know Chime. Like a clock. Right?
Or Clank.
Well, yeah. Clank and Chime. You know, clank and Chime. Clank and Chime. That's not bad. Now I just got to find some guy who's willing to call himself Clank. Maybe I could start up some kind of business. Huh. I got to think about that.
Well, see you later, Chime. Just sweeping.
Yeah. See you later, Tuto. And hey, keep your eyes peeled, okay? Because ground's slippery when you only got the 2 brain cells knocking around in there. So he takes another drag on his cigarette, and then he kind of throws it and heads back inside. All right, and the camera pans up, and we see the blasphemous sky pouring its darkness down upon the city. And we move over the docks and then into Silkshore, and we settle again back at the lair of the crew of the Electric Eek. And we are deliberating at this point what kind of score we're going to conduct against the Ministry of Preservation. So, what are the thoughts?
Well, you see, Benji, I've deduced that the Ministry isn't all as clean as it appears to be, for they have their nasty little fingers all over the North Hook Company, which I have reason to believe is their cloak, if you will, to gain profits under the radar of the government.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe who I had drinks with last night.
Oh, really? Who?
Have you ever heard the name Noggs before?
Noggs. Sounds familiar. I don't know if I know the person.
He's a bookkeeper.
A bookkeeper?
Yeah, he works for Solia, as it turns out, but it's very interesting who he used to work for.
Who did he used to work for? I could take a guess.
The North Hook Company.
You don't say.
He fell a little under the weather, and well, he's a talkative chap.
It's an awful characteristic for a bookkeeper.
You're telling me, or a good one in this case.
Perhaps for us, at least. Well, it seems that undermining the North Hook Company would be our best bet to strike at the Ministry without outright going to war.
Would it be better to approach the Ministry or to do so through the company? What's the bigger fall?
Well, without outright, like I said, going to war with the Ministry, taking down, or at least being an inconvenience to the North Hook, would it seem put a major hindrance in the operations thereof. From what I can tell, that perhaps this vault that Uncle Jonathan had told us about may very well be inside the North Hook Company building.
He mentioned this vault, and I think there's quite a bit more than coin in it.
To tell.
Apparently, the North Hook Company has been bringing in relics from the sea.
Relics? From the Void Sea? Oh my.
If everything that this individual told me is to be believed, yes. They're supposed to be having it inspected in 3 days' time.
Perhaps it would be inconvenient for that shipment maybe disappear?
I believe the inspection is supposed to be taking place at the Bellwether Crematorium.
Odd place, if any.
Little, yes. It means that there's likely that they don't want to have any prying eyes.
And perhaps the lack of prying eyes is just the advantage we need to make off with it without anyone seeing.
I met a chime that loads and unloads boxes.
Really?
For North Hook.
Yep,
When did you do that?
when I was sweeping.
Ah, indeed.
It's a habit he's picked up lately.
There's worse habits.
He said he don't get treated well.
Your friend.
Well, I don't know if he's my friend. He might be Tuto's friend.
Well,
In some situations, those may be one and the same.
you know, it would be very, very helpful, Clank, if you made friends with Chime. Even maybe as Tuto.
But I'm not Tuto.
No, but I mean, wouldn't it be fun to pretend? Just for, a little while.
I mean, if I was going to pretend to be someone, I'd pretend to be you.
That would be amusing, I'm sure.
To say the least.
Okay, Clank is now going to spend the rest of the time pretending to be Benji.
He gets in the boat.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So it sounds like you guys want to nab these artifacts before they make it to Bellwether, while they're at Bellwether. What do you think?
And by the way, I got pieces of that information, and I was hoping that I had strung it back together all correctly.
Yeah. No, you had it right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good deal. I mean, there's going to be a scene at a crematorium. We kind of have to do it in the crematorium, right?
Or we have an inn, and maybe to try to convince the guy to put fake boxes that get delivered to the crematorium, and the real ones get offloaded onto the electric eek.
Yeah.
Also,
That sounds
not
good.
a bad plan at all.
I like that one a lot, actually.
Okay.
That sounds like a great plan.
So thinking about the actual plan that we're going to do, it sounds like something like a deception or a transport plan makes a lot of sense.
My vote's for transport,
Okay,
Yeah, transport.
cool.
just because, like, it's not an outright deception.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
My mind
so if we're going to choose transport for the plan, then the detail we have to determine is the route that we're going to travel.
Well, I just happen to know an individual who knows the ins and outs of the waterways of the city of Duskball
Oh, do you?
and has a boat.
Is his name Benjamin?
It is.
Huh. Supplies, supplies. Okay, so we're going to do a transportation plan through the canals of the docks to get the already stolen goods away from the North Hook Company. Does that sound good? All right. So we're going to roll for engagement then, and then we'll take a quick break. Somebody go ahead and pull up the engagement dice. Derek's got it. Okay. So start with 1 for sheer luck. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? You're dealing with a tier 5 faction, so I think it's reasonably bold. Is this operation overly complex?
You gotta tell me if that adds or subtracts a dice then.
Yeah, I think it adds dice. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? So we're talking about switching out the crates for fakes, loading the crates onto the boat, and then getting away safely on the boat.
I'm going to say that the reliance on an outside person, that alone makes it difficult.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. All right, so take 1 die away then. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target, or does it hit them where they're weakest?
This one, I would say yes, simply because this is the shady under workings of the ministry, which is our, I mean, to my knowledge, true target.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
And you're also exploiting their abuse of their own workers to make this happen.
Right.
So that makes sense to me. I think you can add a die for that. Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations?
Given the information that we have, I'm going to say no, because perhaps this just secretiveness of the North Hook and the operations thereof kind of implies that they don't expect someone to hit them here. They have this front of the ministry and the operations thereof to handle these things. So someone coming from behind and snaking them in the ass may be a surprise.
Well, and especially, the fact that the leak was so small, it was, likely this one individual, and he just happened to cross Benji's path at, the right time or the wrong time. So yeah, I think it would be very unexpected.
Makes good sense. So no need to take away a die then. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation?
As in ones on our sheet or ones that we have made in the game?
One's on your sheet, yeah.
I mean, like, Jenna's connected to Fitz, and Fitz is connected to Northhook, but that's a long way around, and she kind of hates me a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. She might be a potential person to cite for enemies or rivals, but not for friends or contacts. Let's see.
Just a quick question. Do I have any like insider knowledge on what Lady Rosalind does for the ministry? Like, would this, I guess I don't see it how I could use it as an advantage, but would this come back on her in some foul way? Or is that something that
you could certainly try? I think that she is. I don't have any specific idea of what she does, but it's like an upper management kind of position. You know,
okay.
She makes decisions more than she does the grunt work.
Gotcha.
Yeah. She's a noblewoman after all.
Right. I'm going to say outright no, I do not. Okay. But if we can find a way to weasel that in somewhere, I'm super down to strike at that foul.
Sounds good. Sounds real good. So let's see here. We don't need to add any dice for friends or contacts. Are any enemies or rivals interfering in the operation? Baron, I'm going to leave it up to you. Do you want Lady Rosalind to have a direct interference in this thing, or would you rather leave her off the table or leave her in the background?
Just from the descriptions of her affiliations, I'm going to say she's probably in the background. Okay. She's not like a Northhook Company employee. Yeah. She's the ministry employee, so I don't think she would be there for any particular reason.
That makes sense. Okay. So no need to take away a die for that. And then finally, are there any other elements that you want to consider? Tier, location, etc. This is on your turf. This is in the docks. They're also a higher tier than you, so I think that's going to be a wash. I can't really think of any other factors that might come to bear here, aside from the fact
perhaps
that you guys are...
that kind of plays into our turf. I was going to say we're playing our strength by using our boat, but that kind of relies on turf. So
that's a good point. Yeah, but that's kind of like profession instead of turf, you know. So yeah. I'll give you another die for that. So I think we're up to 3 total at this point. Is that right? Okay, cool. Unless there are any other factors to consider, I'm comfortable rolling at this point. Cool.
No, that sounds good to me.
All right, let's see how that roll goes. What do we got? We've got a 6. Very nice. So what that means is that you are in a controlled position when the action starts, and I want to take a quick break to refresh drinks, go to the bathroom, that sort of thing. So for those of you who are tuning in, we're going to take, let's say, a 5-minute break. And in the meantime, keep your eyes peeled because we are on the prowl. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So, when we last left our scoundrels, they had decided to steal some Void Sea artifacts from the North Hook Company, replace them with fake crates to be shipped off to Bellwether Crematorium, and then load the real things into the Electric Eek and get away through the docks of the canals. This is not super easy because, as we had said, the entire docks area is on the lookout for any sort of illegal canal activity. There haven't been races for a little while now, so this is going to be fraught. They can try to sneak through, they can try to blaze through, but one way or another, people are going to be on the lookout, and they might get caught, so we'll just see how that goes. But we start off in a controlled position. And I think the first obstacle that we have to clear is actually making the switch with these artifacts, right? I think it would be best to handle this as a flashback because the crux of the action of this score is transportation, not theft. So does anybody in particular want to be the mastermind behind the actual theft of this? Do you want to make it a group action or anything like that?
Well, okay, I don't know how this will play, but I think we have to do like an introduction to get Tuto to actually introduce us to Chime, to convince him to make the switch for us.
Okay. So maybe instead of a roll to conduct the actual theft itself, we should do a roll to establish that relationship, and then the theft will happen automatically.
That's the idea I got.
Cool. Sounds good. So, let's see here. You'll need to make an offer of something, but I think the outcome of the roll will determine whether that offer ends up being more or less than you bargained for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Clink should not roll this.
All right, so is it going to be Ezel or Benji that gives this a shot?
Ezel is certainly not opposed, though Benji, you may have more of the charismatic approach than I would.
Okay. Yeah. I'll try this. See how I can schmooze this guy into helping us.
Okay. So we're talking about a flashback here. What I would like to do is for you to describe what you're doing, and then I'll assign a stress cost to that based on the description. And then we'll roll the action and see how it turns out.
Flashback scene, trying to get this guy to steal on our behalf.
Okay, I don't want to sway you, Jeremy, and not meaning to use sway there, but my idea was just if we use Tuto to introduce us to this guy, and we can sweet talk him by telling him, yeah, it's mean how they treat you, and you know what? They treat the dockers the same way, and we really need to help everyone out. And if you can help them out, they can help you out. That sort of thing is my idea.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So I guess I will have approached Tuto and started talking to him about how Jonathan came to us and was telling us a lot of the woes. And then I'm going to slide that into, who else is suffering? The people who work for North Hook, knowing that he used to work for North Hook. And then he's going to name drop the guy that Clank ran into the other night, Chime.
Chime? Okay, cool. Yeah, and so Tuto is like, oh, well, I could set up a meeting between the two of you, no problem. Yeah, let's...
Oh, that would be wonderful, Tuto. You made it back safely with all of your chips, didn't you?
My chips? No, I left the chips at the gambling hall.
Good man. And the money that you got back?
Yeah. Yeah, all of it is safe.
Good.
I keep it under my mat.
Oh, Tuto.
Don't tell anybody that.
I shouldn't know that.
Yeah.
Put it in the bank.
You didn't hear anything. Are you kidding me? Banks? You can't trust banks. You can't see your money when you put it in a bank.
You're right. You're right, Tuto.
I know.
You know what else you're right about is that meeting with Chime. That would be wonderful if we could arrange that.
Right. Let's meet Chime. You want to go now?
Maybe later tonight.
Okay.
Let me get everyone together.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll be sweeping down there, so you just show up whenever you're ready.
Will do.
Okay.
Tuto.
All right. Okay. So we're dealing with a controlled position, and you're invoking a person with whom you have some history to set this up. I think this is a fairly low stress activity. I'm going to say 1 stress to be able to pull it off. And this roll, basically, you're going to have to offer Chime something. You're going to have to give him some coin after this score is over, maybe based on whatever you manage to pawn off from these artifacts that you steal. The roll will determine essentially how much you need to give this guy. And we're talking like anywhere between 1 and 4 coin. So because it's a flashback, position and effect aren't really important, but we know it's controlled, so it's not a terrible situation for you. A 2 and a 1. Oh, that's not good. Okay, well, you meet up with Chime, and there are some negotiations.
Clink must have been
You make these negotiations, and you really try to haggle with the guy, but he's just really not comfortable taking on this kind of risk. He's like, you kidding me? I'm sticking my neck out for a guy I've just met right now, and what? I have the promise of payment later? Tell you what, if you think I'm gonna fall for this, fine. Let's do it your way. I'll steal this just to see how it turns out, but I want 4 coin out of this thing.
And that's going to buy your absolute silence.
Yeah. Hell, I'll do you one better. It won't just buy my silence; it'll buy my protection, and I'll stick around and I'll tell you what I can after this thing is all come and gone.
Benji, unfortunately, I don't think we have much room for persuasion here. Perhaps we should just agree.
4 coin is a lot of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they're pulling artifacts out of the Void Sea and you plan on pawning them off, it's probably a pittance, okay? You're probably going to be getting a lot out of this.
He does have a point, Benji.
Clink says, and we are nobles.
Where'd you come from? Tuto, you got a noble brother?
My name's Clink.
Clank? Hey, I got to talk to you about a business proposition later. But hey, we got business we're doing right now, okay? So buzz off for a second. 4 coin, right? You're good for it?
Yeah, I'm fine for it.
All right, and just know, if you're not good for it, I know some people. We can make your life difficult, so don't do that to me, okay?
I think this business relationship is much better suited if we stay amicable.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. All right, so scram out of here. You wanna pick up the goods? Where is it? Around the corner. What's good for you?
How about Silkshore?
Silkshore? No, I'm not carrying the stuff that far. You can pick it up. I'll go as far as a block away with this stuff. I mean, it's not going to be lightweight. It's going to be kind of heavy.
There's an abandoned barber shop 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
And for 4 coin, you can damn well better sure you're going to make 2 blocks.
You drive a hard bargain, you scumber and soot, but I think we got a deal. All right, shake on it.
Yes. And he'll kind of tentatively extend his hand and shake this man's.
He gives you a really vigorous handshake.
Yeah.
Rattles your shoulder.
Turns around and wipes his hand off.
Clink puts his hand out.
And then we have a wipe and then when the without a handshake, and when the camera comes back up, the boat is being loaded in the back of this barber shop, and the guy's like, "All right, okay, now listen, I got away scot-free, but people are going to be on the lookout pretty damn soon. So what you got to do is you got to get out of here without being detected. Because if you do, we're all going down together. And I got to tell you, I'm going to make it as miserable as I can for you, okay?"
Did we give him boxes to replace them with?
Yeah. As he loaded those on, you were also unloading these fake boxes. And he's got a little crew of people who have, dollies and hand trucks and stuff. They're gonna cart him back.
What is inside these fake boxes?
Just a question to the other people. Did Clink mess with these boxes?
Clank, did you mess with the boxes?
I'm willing to do that.
I'm not
and
here to question,
but I don't want to make it worse for us.
I
I
would
feel
not.
like we did a fine job of that of ourselves.
I don't mean to be the devil on your shoulder, but if you did, then that would make this a sabotage, which is your choice activity.
Can we do that with a transport?
I can wreck things that are not noticeable that well.
Sure. Yeah.
Well,
I don't see why you couldn't combine it.
That might come to our advantage. I mean, if the transport of these artifacts perhaps exploded, just be simply less.
Yeah, I seem to recall I have remote-controlled explosive devices.
So, amongst this explosion, could we somehow plant some kind of like occult or like ghost ectoplasmic like producing device, so that way it looks like it might have come from a relic that went critical?
That sounds like a great thing for a future flashback. I think we should all kind of brainstorm that as we're doing the rest of the score, and I'm going to make a note to remember it just in case it slips our minds in the heat of the moment. But Chime is like, "All right, now get out of here, quick! We got to get this stuff back before it's too late."
We didn't do load.
Oh yeah. So go ahead and pick your load then. So once again, like if you do a heavy load, you're really conspicuous. So the load that you choose will kind of determine if you want to bluff your way through this transport or if you want to like just try and avoid detection or that sort of thing.
I'm gonna stick with a normal load.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I will also do normal load, but I will say my new ability I took is called Mule, so I get 2 extra gear load limit.
Does it stack with the thief's?
It does.
Oh my god!
It does. So Clank is just like a walking.
He's Hagrid.
Warehouse. Yeah. Basically.
Porcupine.
But it only looks like I have a normal load. So.
Yeah. All right. So Chime and his goons move away. And there's a few minutes where you're supposed to wait and not move right away. You do, however, see that there are some bluecoat patrols that are kind of wandering around in the district generally. You have seen them over the past few days, so you know they exist. So every moment that you wait is going to increase the chances that you will get detected. However, this first roll is controlled, so you don't have to worry about it right now. What's the plan? Are you blazing your way out of here? Are you trying to be really under the radar about it? What's going on?
Can we try to look like a legitimate type of thing?
Yeah, we could do like a flashback to disguise the Eek as some sort of like merchant ship or something like that.
We've taped some extra letters on the side of the boat.
How about like a propaganda ship? Like, can Addie Frog be throwing in, or we say she's throwing in, or Frog is throwing another party, and we're like announcing it, and we have like a giant banner that says, "Come on, come all to see the spectacular that is." Whatever.
That would be super conspicuous, but probably, not what you would expect to be full of contraband. So sure. If everybody else is okay with it.
That you don't have to be. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was thinking something like maybe like a fishing vessel, but I don't suppose the E passes a fishing vessel very well.
It's got pretty big exhaust.
It's a really fast fish. So yeah, I mean, I'm on board with making it look like a big party barge.
Okay, cool. I will say Addie is maybe not quite ready to do a party, but that can be something that we deal with on another day. So let's do this flashback to decorate this thing. Who wants to lead this? I think maybe Clank. You're the one with the bright idea.
Okay, so in like the tines for the airboat fan, he put like streamers. He puts normal fireworks, not electroplasmic fireworks, on the outside that they can shoot off.
And I imagine they're a lot more like just the little fountains than they are the proper like shoot up and go boom fireworks.
Yeah. Should I roll before I get too involved with that?
Well, I think those descriptions sound good, and I think that this is a very low stakes activity for a man of Clank's caliber, so I think this is a zero stress flashback.
Okay, cool. And then I'll just roll this, but like a big banner like announcing that there'll be a party.
Sounds good. Cool. Yeah, so you managed to get this thing going pretty well. It maybe doesn't look exactly like it's going to be a,
Clank's handwriting's not the best.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like this thing was commissioned by a noble, but maybe it was like done up by some fans of the party who, like free advertising, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, yeah, so you load the stuff up into this boat, and it's got all this like signage and streamers and stuff on it, and then you push off down the canals, and you're making your way. Let's do some kind of roll to, let's see here. So you're going along, and then you see this blue coat patrol coming up, and they kind of are walking along the side of the canal, facing away from you at first. And you see that there's a bridge that you would have to go under. It would be a pretty tight fit with this signage and everything on top. And the bluecoats look like they're about to turn and go over the bridge, so they're very close to being able to turn and see you coming down the canal.
Would I recognize either of these bluecoats, either as Officer Darmo or one of his people?
We did not select Officer Darmo as one of the contacts that would help you out in this thing, so I think you do not recognize them. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
Could there maybe be like a small knot of like celebration kind of going on the sidewalk as well, like a small group of people, like having a good time drinking?
Sure. Yeah, we can say there's a little group of people out there.
Could we have utilized our informants, not the ones that we're trying to attain, but like our propagandaists, our rooks?
Rooks, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be another flashback activity to actually get them engaged, but that's definitely something you could do.
I think that would be Ezel's job.
Okay.
As I'm not much for the whole boat aspect.
Cool.
So
So are you saying that you aren't even in the boat right now, or
no. Maybe I think I would be in the boat, but I don't think that like details pertaining to the course that we're taking would have been up to me. So maybe I was in charge of like getting in touch with Jonathan to talk to people that I guess I could that they work for all of us. I'm in the boat, but I was in charge of kind of setting up minor distractions along the route.
Makes
rather
sense.
than the route itself.
Makes sense.
A consort, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that makes good sense to me. And they're on your team, so I think this is also a zero stress flashback.
Okay. And Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, the propagandists were totally on board. They were like, Ilson was the guy who's the head propagandist at this point. And he's like, yeah, that sounds great. We can take to the streets. You know, we've been pushing the Dockers' cause for a while now, and I think we're going to make a lot of progress tonight.
I have no doubt in your ability, Ilson. You have been nothing but... what's the word I'm looking for? You've been nothing but good at this.
Supportive?
Supportive, there you go.
Thanks, lady.
No problem.
All right, yeah, so these propagandists show up just on cue, just as the Bluecoats are about to turn over the bridge. The propagandists show up and they're singing a song, you know, "Solidarity Forever," and they're just like marching with their signs and stuff. And like, so a few of them have bottles in their hands. They've been drinking and having a good time. And the Bluecoats turn to look at these guys, and then they look at each other, and they kind of pull out their truncheons and they pull out their whistles too, and like, beep beep, hey hey, clear the streets! It's a curfew in effect. Come on! But they manage to distract these Bluecoats as the Eek just kind of idles right under this bridge and continues on its way. So you continue through the streets, and we've got a situation where you have a choice. You know, there's a shortcut that you can take, but it's definitely through more heavily patrolled territory. There is a longer route that you can take that's a little safer. What's the preference, Captain?
Definitely the longer route.
Mm-hmm.
Play it safe for now until we no longer can.
Even though Benji's reckless.
Yeah, when Benji goes that way, Clink says, "I thought he was reckless."
Yeah, is that something Benji would do in his reckless state of mind?
Well, if the others are bringing it up and prodding him about it, then absolutely.
Yeah, Benji, why don't you put us in danger?
He actually like swings the wheel around and like gives it a little bit of gas to actually like turn around and go back to the choice and turn the other direction.
All right, sounds good.
Ezel was saying something about Uncle Jonathan and struck a nerve.
Okay, cool. So you get to the spot where you know that you're gonna have to
Literally says out loud he keeps saying out loud during this whole thing, "What would Benji do? What would Benji do? What would Benji do?"
And he's trimmed his facial hair into a match for Benji's as well. It's...
That, and like I've tried to do the same outfit that Benji has. Like you're wearing a black coat, right?
Yeah. So you're wearing like a black coat, but it's like a workman's coat instead of a noble's coat.
I couldn't find a black coat, so it's covered in grease is why it's black.
He's added length to it just so that it looks long.
He's like sewed another coat on the bottom. Cool. So you get to this point and you know that it's really heavily patrolled, but there is a gap in the patrol circuit, right? And if you time it correctly, you can gun through and not actually be detected by anybody. But you're not sure if there are actual Bluecoats that are in the moment. Like if you're not sure if the way is open or not. So what do you want to do to kind of get that information?
Clank will go prowl out ahead.
Okay. So maybe you'll hop out of the boat and go sneak up there and see what you can see?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Cool. All right, so so far things have gone really well for you. I'm going to say that this is still a controlled position. And we're going to call it a standard effect. The Bluecoats are only one tier above you at this point, and they're not exactly expecting you to come through. So yeah, I think controlled and standard.
If I'm using a tier 2 magnetic line thrower to get up high to see what's going on, does that help my effect any?
You know, the crew is tier 2 now, so I don't think so. It's basically just par for the course. But it's a cool effect. I think that if nothing else, it makes it less likely that people are going to be able to detain you if they detect you.
Okay. So I'm checking gadget on my gear.
Sounds good.
All right.
A 6. All right, you do it. You manage to throw this line thrower up onto the rooftop or something, and you zip up there. And you are looking up over this area that's supposed to be patrolled. And sure enough, yeah, there are no cops down there right now.
Then Clink will let it go back down, drop on the deck, try to do a cool look at Benji and say, "Gun it."
Benji, who's taken aback by the true coolness of this moment for Clank, just kind of nods in agreement without another word, and reaches down and just throttles it forward.
Nice. All right. So I think this is a maybe like a finesse roll or something. That's the typical piloting roll for you, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah.
It says something about handle a vehicle.
Cool. I will say this is going to lower it down to risky if you're gunning it. So you're going from a controlled position down to risky so that you can speed through here.
Well, I mean, when in fake.
Oh, I thought you said we had to go fast through this part. Never mind.
Well, I mean, you do. Basically, I'm saying that this is an opportunity.
You should probably trade effect for position as well to make it desperate. Because why not?
It's risky standard. You could. Well, this is kind of a long section. I'm gonna say it's risky unlimited actually, because it's a long distance for you to gun without detection.
All right. You guys are just trying to get Benji killed. All right. Desperate position.
All right. Desperate position and standard effect then?
Standard effect.
Okay. Let's see how this turns out.
Yes.
A 6. Okay, very nice. So you manage to gun it and you fly past this section and you then, kill the engine and it coasts to a halt. And you do hear behind you that there are some whistles being blown in the section that you just came through, but the bluecoats get to the shore and they're looking around and they see that there's, rippling in the water, but they can't tell which direction this boat went. And so you lose their tail. And you continue on through the canals. Let me see here. The trouble with this is that you're all rolling really well, so I can't give you consequences like complications and things.
I was going to say, I would like to take a second to say that this is about to go abysmally wrong here in about 4 seconds when we all start rolling ones.
My fingers are crossed.
It's the way it usually goes.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Benji, because I always forget to mention this, because you made a desperate roll just now, make sure you mark experience and prowess. Cool. So you continue on through these canals. This is an oddly quiet score for you all. This feels like actually... So, okay, let's see here. You were waiting until the day these things were supposed to be transported before you did the heist, or you were going to do the heist the day before and then wait until the next day to detonate these bombs? What was the plan?
I like that one, the latter.
Okay, so you're gonna do the heist the day before and then you're wait. Okay, so man, let me see here. You all three, do you have any ideas about what you would do next?
I mean, Clank wants to play bagpipes.
Does Clank want to play bagpipes, or does Derek want to make things interesting? I appreciate both impulses. I just want to know the truth.
Sort of both.
Okay, so let's see here. You're making your way through the canals. Maybe what we do then is just a roll to get you guys out scot-free, because you've bypassed everything so well at this point.
Was that a joke?
Scott?
No bagpipes, scot-free?
Oh, God.
Shut up. You shut up.
All right,
are
actually,
almost out of here without a consequence.
So a Leviathan shows up in the canal and devours Benji, and that's the end of him. Too bad. Tough.
And then Clank takes the place of Benji.
It's a seamless transition. Nobody will be the wiser. It's also fascinating that Benji is the one who's the mastermind, but Clank is the one who's the master of disguise. It's a real duo. Yeah, though I think one more finesse to get out of there, because you did, after all, just take a shortcut too, so it's not like we should drag this out much longer. So let's see how this last roll goes. I think we're still in a risky position. We're in a standard effect now because it's not like you're doing a sprint in the boat or anything. So let's see how this turns out.
Oh, can I? Well, never mind. Yes.
Man.
Fucking what?
I was going to help out. I guess Benji doesn't need Clank's help.
Yeah, I guess
I
not.
would just like to point out that under alias on my character sheet, it does say oil slick.
So you're getting by real slick like then. Very good, very good. Yeah, so you manage to pilot the Eek through the canals, and you get out into the bay. You pull past Mixfroig's pleasure barge, moored on one of the docks. Definitely not with a party underway right now. And Clank, I think this is a perfect time for your fireworks to go off. It's very dramatic backlighting.
They're very just Roman candles.
Yeah.
Fountain things.
And then you make it back to the lair, scot-free, no problem at all. However, I do want to fast forward just a little bit, and I want to see this roll to do the sabotage the next day.
So Clink's gonna wreck.
Yeah, that sounds good. And this is definitely a controlled position. I think that you have a potential great effect because nobody is the wiser about this. So let's see how it goes. And we talked about...
Do I have anything that can make this an exceptional effect? An extreme effect?
You have fine wrecking tools, I think.
I do have fine wrecking tools. Let's see. I also have... trying to see if there's anything else I have. Oh, I have arcane implements, so I can put electroplasm, a vial of electroplasm in it.
Uh-huh, makes sense. Well, and it's worth noting, too, that these are supposed to be artifacts from the Void Sea, so they're very likely like things that were harvested from a Leviathan. So they're already supposed to be sort of innately magical. And if you were to do electroplasm, or if you were to do, like, if you found some whale bone or fish bones or something like that that you could stuff inside those things, I think that makes sense.
Can I call that a useful item?
Sure. Well, here's what I was thinking. There's also a checkbox for subterfuge supplies.
Oh, that's true. If you're okay with that, because that's not really... Like,
Yeah.
That's like a cloak with a distinctive hat.
Well, but I think if you are checking fine wrecking tools and arcane implements and subterfuge supplies, that's all that we need. That's plenty.
You sure? I still have 4 more gear slots I can check.
God, and I wish you could have used them, but you all just rolled too well.
Okay. So, if I get this, it's an extreme...
Yeah, we're in a controlled position and an extreme effect. Ooh, boy.
I'll resist.
Okay, so yeah, this is what happens. The wagon drawn by these giant goats is full of these crates, and it's got a guard on either side. It's got 2 guards on the wagon itself. It's got an escort following behind, and inside we see that there's this tick 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 tick. And what is the bomb actually made of? Is it fireworks or what?
It's sort of like an electroplasmic Tesla coil.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's like when it starts to power down. And where is Clank as this is going on? I'm sure you're observing.
Yeah, he's on a high rooftop somewhere,
Okay,
like waiting for this explosion.
this is
he's
maybe
brought-
like on the...
He brought Stasia up there to see it and to see the pretty lights.
Sure, sure. And she's like, what am I doing up here? You won't tell me anything about why we're here. And look, the sky is not much to look at. It's overcast today.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
What do you think about my coat?
Your coat's fine. It's fine.
And my hair?
Did you just come up to show me your coat and your hair?
No, there's gonna be something cool.
Look, the coat would look better on my bedroom floor, okay? So let's just stay focused right now.
Let's go.
Let's...
It's fine. I'll tell you about it later, but let's just go.
Okay, sounds good. And so I imagine as you're turning, you're gonna plunge the thing to make it happen, but minutes go by and nothing happens. Do you did you want to resist it?
Yeah, I'll resist.
Okay, sounds good. So you're getting down and you're like, you've got maybe you even had the plunger concealed, and that's where the stress comes from. You're trying to like get this thing to work without actually tipping off Stasia.
Okay, so prowess. No bonus die. A 6. All right.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you you start to hear as you're working your way down this fire escape or something. You start to hear in the distance this deep bass, and you start to hear some like alarmed, raised voices, and then all of a sudden there's just this gigantic. It's not even the sound of an explosion. It sounds like reality is tearing a little bit. It sounds like there's like a void opening up on the streets, and there's this giant crack of electroplasmic lightning. It's horrendous, but there's this boom that rocks the fire escape you're on, even from hundreds of feet away. And then there are shouts. There are people running through the streets. You can hear the fire brigade sirens going on in the distance.
Frank says, "The Earth just moved for us."
Stasia looks at you and is like, "What did you do?"
I'll tell you later. Let's go.
And then the camera rises up again, and we're going to go back to the lair, and we are in downtime at this point. So let's go ahead and do payoff and all that. So there were a bunch of artifacts, and like I said, these probably came from Leviathans. We're talking about like bone charms, we're talking about raw materials, we're talking about collector's items and things like that. Really, really special stuff. So what I would like first is for each one of you to describe one of these items. Let's start with Izel.
So I think that one of them is actually like... So I mean, I think that this is actually maybe an eye, like a huge eyeball that's like super in the process of decomposition in the void sea. This isn't like from a Leviathan that they killed. This is like from a corpse they found floating. Someone's like, "Oh, we'll take this eyeball," and it's more of like the lens that's valuable on the inside because it's mostly just organic, but maybe this like Leviathan eye lens is like capable of some ectoplasmic refraction that would like provide a weapon of some kind against the ghouls in the wastes or Leviathans themselves. This is like unheard of that this is even a thing that we've managed to get our hands on, is this eyeball.
Very cool. Yeah, it sounds valuable as well. That's good. So, Clank, what's another artifact that is pulled from this heist?
There's like a jar, well, there's several jars of what look like squids, but they're completely transparent and like ethereal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They're in jars, luckily, but I'm assuming Clank dropped one and then one just sort of dissipated.
Okay. You know what's interesting? Izel, in the last score, there was a thing that kind of trailed after you whenever you were depositing the money in the covert drop.
Yes,
You know what? That thing looked kind of chitinous. It was a little... It almost looked like a cross between a squid and a crab or something.
Yep.
But these things look oddly familiar. Roughly the same size. It looks like, they might be close species at the very least.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe worth looking into.
And then Benji, what's the last artifact? Or last artifact sample, anyway.
I think so. This is like an organic thing, or can it be like a worked thing?
I think organic would make a lot of sense, but you know what? Leviathans are deeply weird creatures. I'm sure there are like portals that open up on Leviathans, for example, and like who knows what you might pull off of it. So a worked thing is totally fine.
Okay. So I think that this is actually a large harpoon, and it's actually carved from Leviathan bone. And this thing is like ancient, like tribal, ancient. And the story or whatever with it is that this was actually embedded in the skin of a Leviathan, and someone removed this, and this thing has been swimming around for hundreds of thousands of years, maybe. And the runes that kind of covered the bone of this harpoon on one side are almost completely worn smooth just from the swimming around in the water that this Leviathan has done.
Very cool. I love it. All right. So this is just a sampling of the artifacts that you all recovered. There are many. There are probably a dozen that you recovered overall. And it takes you a little while. It takes you a few days, maybe a week, maybe a little more to actually get them all pawned off. Does anybody have any ideas about where you would pawn them? I think maybe Salia could have a contact if Salia himself is not the person.
Yeah, I think he would at least know people.
Okay, cool. So between Salia and Nogs or something. Oh, were you going to say something?
Belaris, my father, maybe.
Well, yeah, but I thought you said that he had skipped town.
He had, but I'm sure that there are remnants of his web.
Ah, I see. So Ezel knows somebody at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you guys have ideas, I'll leave that up to you. But
well, it makes sense that you wouldn't sell all these off through the same fence. You might try to divide them, and so we can do both of that. We can do some through Salia, some through Ezel's contact. Yeah, that sounds good. But regardless, you get quite a bit of payoff. So let's do rep first. You gain +2 rep per score by default. If the target was higher, then you take +1 per tier higher. You're tier 2, and that was tier 5, so you get 3 rep from that. And that's
okay. It filled our rep, so then I clear it and do what?
Filled the rep. Wow. Okay. So what that means is that you will move from. I think you guys are. Let me double check here really quick. Yes, you are tier 2, but you're weak. So now that we've filled the rep track, you move from weak to strong, and then you clear the rep.
Okay, so we have 1 rep right now.
Yes.
It only took 2 to fill it, so.
Yeah, and there's a chance that you have to pay for that advancement. I'll double check after the fact, and I'll let you know, but I don't think you have to pay for it.
And you said we get 2 rep base and then 1 additional rep per tier higher than us?
Yeah, so 2 rep.
So we just got 5?
+3, so 5 total, yeah. Whew. Pretty significant, yes. And then, let's see here. Coin. This was a major score. This was impressive loot, right? So I think you're going to get 12 coin for this. And
4 we're going to give to Chime.
Yeah, you have to give 4 to Chime, but you get to keep 8 for yourself, so that's pretty nice.
What are vaults? Okay, so our coin in our playbook is full at 4, so do we just want to... How do we divide 8 among 3?
That's a good question.
We have like a crew.
You do, but the crew coin stash is already full, and if you want to put more in there, then you have to get a vault.
We break
an
it
upgrade.
down.
So, I mean, we have, if each of us takes 2, that alleviates 6 of the coin, and then we could just give the other 2 coin to the struggles that the dockers are going through.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, an anonymous donation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I'm calculating the doctor's notes from the EEK.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's do heat at this point. First of all, this was a smooth and quiet operation. That's 0 heat by default. It was a high-profile or well-connected target, so that's 1 heat that you're going to gain. The situation did not happen on hostile turf. You're not at war, and killing was not involved, so you only get 1 heat from this operation.
It was a very controlled explosion.
Yeah, no joke. And by the way, I'm pretty sure with your hunting grounds... Baron, can you actually look that up in the book? It would be in the crew creation section. Whenever you're establishing your hunting grounds, it'll tell you what kind of bonus is associated with it. I think you get an additional rep if you do your preferred score on your hunting grounds. But
let me read real quick.
Sure. While we're looking at that, let's do entanglements. So, what is your wanted level for the crew? Nothing? You got 1 wanted level. Okay. So I need somebody to roll 1 die.
You want to do it, Derek? You want me to do it?
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay. So just like with fortune?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, what was the question again in regards to
hunting grounds. There's some sort of bonus that you get for doing your job on your hunting grounds.
We would have gotten an extra D or extra die for gather information rolls, and we also get a free additional downtime activity that contributes to the operation.
Ah, okay. So an additional downtime activity, and what was the other thing you said? It was
an extra die for gathering information.
Okay, cool. So that's just something we'll have to remember in the future. One of the things that I am a little... one of the things that's like a challenge in the system is that you have to spend coin if you do downtime outside of downtime. Right?
But we could pay a faction 2 coin as a show of respect and gain +1 status with them.
Oh no, that's just strictly for crew creation.
Just establishing?
Yeah, we're well past that. So
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
However, we just rolled entanglements, right? And you got a 5 with 1 heat. That means that you choose between rivals or unquiet dead. Rivals means a neutral faction throws their weight around. They threaten you, a friend or contact, or one of your vice purveyors. Unquiet dead means a rogue spirit is drawn to you. Perhaps it's a past victim.
Don't we get a chance to reduce our heat before we do that?
No. Entanglements happen before downtime.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Because entanglements, you would roll 1 even if you don't have any heat. So, yeah. But anyway, so would you rather do rivals or unquiet dead? I can think of some cool stuff for unquiet dead, but if you can think of a compelling thing for rivals, I'm open to that too.
Clank is not a fan of the dead.
Here's what I think. I'll give you a little more detail too. If you choose rivals, then the grinders are going to start throwing their weight around in the docks because they have a new leader now, and their new leader is really aggressive. If you choose unquiet dead, then there will be something connected to the artifacts that you stole.
Ooh, both of those are actually very tempting. I like the idea of being, harassed by the grinders simply because that gives us like a direct opposition.
Mm-hmm.
But occult artifacts and the evils that pertain to them? What?
And this could reinforce, like, if Benji ends up somehow having to deal with part of the fallout from the spirit, this could impact, like, the already tenuous relationship he has with Jonathan.
Who knows what kind of, instigations this artifact has with your already haunted.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, it sounds like you want to do Unquiet Dead then. Okay, so here's the deal. You can either hire a Whisper or a Railjack to attempt to destroy or banish this spirit, or you can try and deal with it yourself. If you want to do dealing it with yourself, well, first of all, if you want to hire a Whisper or a Railjack, I think that's going to be some coin that you'll have to spend. But if you'd rather deal with it yourself, we can make that the subject of a score next time.
We do have a lot of coin right now, guys.
Yeah, I think paying somebody to take care of it would be great.
I suggest not a railjack.
No. I
Yeah,
think maybe
probably.
Clank's other girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Huh? She was a priestess.
What was her name
Priestess. again?
Yeah, what was her name, like?
Melista. That's right.
Ezel says snarkily.
Good old Mal.
All right, so Melista will do this for you, but she needs to be paid 2 coin in order to do it.
I'll fork over one of the two.
And I will the other.
All right,
Yeah, that's
cool.
Nice of you guys.
So this spirit that was drawn to you, it was actually, you might classify it more as like a horror than a spirit. The artifacts, it was kind of hard to part ways with them. They were all magnetic in a way. And as the days went by, it started off small. You would touch, Clank would like touch his tools and he'd get a little bit of a static shock, despite not, walking around in his socks or anything like that. And then, Ezel would be studying in school and like the hairs on her neck would stand up right on end. And Benji would be pursuing his life as a noble, maybe fulfilling noble obligations or taking out his stress on the streets. And you would hear thunder, but it wouldn't be storming. And then all of you were at the lair one time, and this static built and built, and then this, the roof of the lair started to gather this storm cloud, right? And it was very slow, but you could see that it was spreading over the ceiling. And it had this sense of deep wrong. And you brought Jonathan to take a look at it just to be sure. And he, peered into the ghost field, and sure enough, yeah, it's something from beyond this world. And the only thing that was going to get rid of it was a whisper or a railjack. So you tracked down Melista, you paid her 2 coin. She brought some of her acolytes with her. They cleansed the lair. And now there are some people who know where you live. I'm sure that won't come back to bite you.
Could be.
Along with all of his ex-girlfriends.
Yeah. So now we are in downtime. So you've got the usual activities. Everybody's got 2 actions that you can take. So what kind of actions do we want to take here?
I'm gonna try and lower my stress for one, and I have extra coins, so I'm gonna be willing to spend 1 to do some training. But I think I want to use my other 1 to advance a clock of some kind. Let me just see what we have applicable to me. Maybe Ezel has been moved by the plight of the dockers and is looking to help negotiate for higher wages.
All right. So you wanna join in that effort then?
Yes.
Cool. I love it. That sounds good. And let's see.
Okay, so first, do you want me to just do my full?
Yeah, you can do both actions. So first you're training.
Yes.
And which thing did you decide to train? Prowess, okay. And just so you know,
I get 2.
you do get 2. Yeah, we have training and prowess.
Would
And
bump.
what are you doing as you do this training? What actions are you taking? What's it look like?
So okay, all right. I think this conflict with the masked individual from the first score has really kind of weighed in the back of my mind that I couldn't just defeat them. I'm sneaky, but I'm not outright a bruiser by any means.
Mhm.
So I have been. I almost picture this like the second Silk Spectre from Watchmen, how that she has like this private training room since her mom has all these connections. Like I have this kind of gym-esque location that I have known my whole life that I'm like sparring with a wooden doll and like just toughening my flesh against this thing by just
kind of flashbacks in my mind to that night we're fighting on the docks, and I'm just punching this wooden doll. My knuckles are bleeding, and I'm gonna take a point in skirmish.
Nice. Oh, so you filled the track too.
Yes, completely.
Nice.
And I'm gonna indulge my vice. Oh, so bad. so no, that's so terrible. I didn't need that much.
Well, that means you overindulged, so you get to choose. Do we attract trouble, where you select or roll an additional entanglement? Do you brag about your exploits and get +2 heat? Is Izel lost for this next session and you have to play a different character? Or is your does your vice purveyor cut you off?
I think I
Go with the heat.
should I go with the heat?
Yeah. I mean,
I
like,
kinda-
we only got one.
Okay.
I mean, it puts
But-
us in a lot more range that we're used to.
Perhaps I got us involved in another entanglement.
Okay. If you want to do that, I can list them off for you, or we can just roll one.
Roll it. Let's
Okay.
roll it.
So give me a 1-die fortune roll then.
4.
4. That's going to be Rivals or Unquiet Dead again. So you want to go with Rivals and say the grinders are throwing their weight around?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
So either you can forfeit 1 rep or 1 coin per tier to offer an apology to the grinders, or you can allow them to mess with you or yours just without reprisal, or you can fight back and show them who's boss.
What are you thinking, fellas?
Clink don't like the grinders.
Yeah, someone needs their ass whooped.
Again.
Okay.
And
Another leader.
remind them.
Okay, well, the new leader of the grinders is a man by the name of Ulf Ironborn, and he is a rather nasty Scotlander who's come to town basically just looking for a crew that he can use to do some violence on the city. And sure enough, he found him in the grinders, thanks to you guys killing the grinders' previous head honcho. And so...
Allegedly.
If you're gonna, I think the grinders have basically been walking through the docks and they've been trash talking the Electric Eek. They're pent up because they can't race anymore, and so they're just impugning your honor left and right. And you want to strike back at them. Are you going to do an open confrontation? Or are you going to do an ambush? What do you think?
I think we're ambushy.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're not much for the overt, in your face kind of stuff. So this is more of an ambush.
Sure.
Yeah, I think maybe whoever was the most vocal, or at least the last most vocal individual, I think maybe we find out where this person sleeps and we cut out their tongue and then put it on display somewhere with a note.
Wow. Okay.
That's Benji's suggestion, at least.
So that
Gee,
that
Benji,
went sideways.
we are worried about you, Benji.
that sounds like a prowl roll to me.
All right, let me.
Well, Clink is trying to be like him, so is it for just Easel to roll, or can anyone roll?
Well, is everyone? We can do a group action if you'd prefer, and have a leader, and then everybody rolls.
This seems like a group action.
Yeah,
Sure.
call
I'll
it
take-
a score and a single roll.
Yeah. So prowl.
Yeah,
So we all roll prowl, and we just help the leader if we get a success.
yeah, and I'm assuming Izel is leading this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll gain 1 stress for every roll every failed roll.
Okay.
Okay.
I bet that 6 would really come in handy after this.
Hey, there you go.
And a few sixes.
Position and effect don't matter.
Correct. No, it's not a failure. Hey, all right, so nobody failed. Well done. So you managed to find this guy, cut his tongue out, and make an example of him, and the grinders realize that they are... I imagine nobody even knows for sure that it was you, But they connect the dots at least, and they realize that they're dealing with somebody a little more significant than they thought at first.
Don't fucks with us.
Vicious bitches.
All right. So let's then... We figured out that overindulgence thing, and then you wanted to spend coin to work on the Dockers project as well?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what are you doing to help the Dockers with their efforts to find wait, you're helping them negotiate higher wages?
Yes.
Okay.
So I have I actually have gone to school for business. That was what I was in school for, is to learn how to make a legitimate working business here, as compared to my father. And as such, I've learned quite a bit, at least what I think is something that would help the Dockers at least negotiate for a better work environment and pay for themselves. So I'm going to ask you, I think either study or consort.
I think either one of those makes sense to me. Studying, it would be about, you hitting the books and learning the specific things or refreshing yourself or whatever. Consort would be actually being in the negotiation room. So it's whatever you would prefer in terms of the narrative.
I don't think Ezel is the type to put herself that much in the spotlight. So I think this is just information that I'm giving to Uncle Jonathan.
Very cool.
As a means of helping him in his endeavors to do this.
Sure.
So, a 3.
A 3. Okay, so you managed to advance the clock by 1. So they go from 0 out of 8 to 1 out of 8. You help them get their first major victory there. Well done. All right. So +1. And those are your downtime actions. Let's do Benji or Clank. Do either of you have clear ideas about what you want to do?
I do, if you don't want to go. Clank's going to do a couple of things.
Okay.
So last time we talked about I could start a long-term project to create a battery, or then I could use my one-use per charge items more than once a score.
Yes, yeah.
So is that a design that I have to do first, correct?
It would be, yeah. You just finished the plan for the stun gloves, so you might make those, but then you would start up another long-term project to develop the design for the battery.
Yes, okay, that's what I will start.
Cool.
Is a clock for that.
And actually, I'm thinking about this. So crafting is supposed to be something that is like new and different and dangerous or obscure or something like that, but a battery seems like it would be fairly typical. So maybe, well, that's the thing, I suppose. Maybe the weirdness is like hooking up this battery that's normally kind of volatile to like your rigging so that you can carry it around with you.
So you're calling it a charge suit instead of a battery.
No, it's still a battery. It's just that the actual design that you're hooking up is like the way that it's going to be carried on your person.
Okay. Okay.
And let me pull up the crafting rules really quick too. Okay. Crafting. Where is this? 224. So what type of creation is it and what does it do? And, you know.
It is a Sparkcraft creation that charges other Sparkcraft creations.
Delightful. What's the minimum quality level of this item? I'm going to say it is quality level 2. I think it's a tier 2 item. It makes sense. Nothing super complex, but also it needs to power a lot of stuff. And then what rare, strange, or adverse aspect of this formula or design has kept it in obscurity out of common usage?
It's very dangerous.
Very dangerous. Perfect. All right. Well,
energy on your back around with you all day.
So I think then one of the drawbacks of this thing is that it's volatile. The item will produce dangerous or troublesome side effects for the user specified by the GM. And a side effect can be resisted because it is a consequence.
Okay, so how many clocks?
This is fairly simple. I'm going to say this is like a 6 clock.
Okay. Okay, so I will do a roll for working on that design.
Sounds good. Battery, harness, cool. 0 out of 6.
Six.
6 will fill half of that clock. Well done.
Okay, and then I will. I'm gonna spend some coin, but I'll do this other thing. I'll keep working on the battery as my other free downtime action.
Okay.
They're Benji and Easel here, loud
Yeah,
explosion
of course.
stuff, and a 5.
Nice. Okay. Very good.
Almost got it.
Yeah. So
okay.
2 more segments.
Yep. I'm now going to spend a coin and reduce our heat.
Nice. Okay. So you're not actually going to acquire the stun glove then?
No, I did last time. I have the stun glove.
Oh,
It's
okay.
tier 3.
Cool.
It's very conspicuous.
Yeah, well. So let's reduce heat and see where we get here then.
How do I do that again?
You choose an action and describe how you're using it to reduce heat, and then you roll and we reduce it according to your result.
Okay, I would like to prowl to reduce heat. How can I do that? So our heat... Maybe that won't work. What was our heat related to? Just because it was above our station, really.
Your heat was because, yeah, you were punching above your weight.
Feel free to jump in, guys. Trying to think of a way that makes sense to reduce our heat.
This is prowess that you're looking for?
I would prefer a prowess move, because I'm better at those.
An opponent in close combat.
I guess I could
Assault.
try to finesse something, like steal something that kind of related back to us.
Yeah. I've done finesse before to plant evidence. On someone
Okay.
else.
I'll try that. I shall plant evidence, because the grinders pissed me off. That it was the grinders that left some evidence at the docks. I don't know.
Okay. So you're gonna try and frame the grinders then.
Yep.
Cool. Frame grinders, and let's roll a 2. So you get rid of 1 heat.
Hey, that works.
Yeah.
Hey, we have to eat.
Yay!
And then I shall spend 1 more coin, if that is okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I shall help the doctors negotiate higher wages.
All right.
There's a good way that Clink can do that. Can I do that by getting into a fight?
Sure. Who would you have to fight to further the cause of the wages being successfully negotiated? I think
I would
maybe.
Negotiator.
Oh yeah. Wait. What is this?
I would like to rough up the negotiator for the Ministry of
Oh
Preservation.
wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure nothing bad could come of that. Let's see here. So you think you want to skirmish then?
Prowl lets me backstab someone. Can I do that without being noticed?
Sure. You could be sneaky about it and rough up the dude.
I'm not very good at these.
Oh, okay. So long-term project, you get
Effective at it, right?
do what?
this is just to fill a clock, so it's just I wasn't very effective.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you just fill the one. And so the guy, like, he gets his, he gets his dressing down from you or whatever, and he puts on a show about how he's gonna totally, waffle and do what you want now. But then the next day in the negotiation room, when the report comes back to Clank, it doesn't seem like his actions had a super huge effect.
He did his part.
Yeah. And then last but not least, Benji.
Okay, so one of the things that I first want to try to take care of is healing this harm that I still have. I am soundly cuffed as a level 1 harm. So I would like to try to advance the healing clock on that.
That sounds good. So what you will do is roll. Let's see here. You need to get treatment. Do you have like a physic or friend or anything like that?
I do not.
Okay.
I am going to go to Salia, since I took this beating kind of somewhat on his behalf.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hope that he knows somebody.
That makes sense. Yeah, and Salia would absolutely pull some strings to get you some stuff as an apology there. So what that means is that you can add a die to your roll. Normally you don't have Tinker as like a physicker kind of roll.
Okay.
So it would be 2 dice and you take the lower, but with Salia's help, you just roll the 1 die instead.
Okay. So this will be fortune?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. 1 die.
A 4. Okay. Not bad. So then you managed to fill half of your healing clock.
Okay.
Well done indeed. All right. So that was your first downtime activity.
The second I would like to do is try to reduce the rest of the heat that we have, because we get special cool stuff if we end with no heat, right?
Well, I think we have no heat already.
Oh, do we?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because he got rid of the 1 point, but we had 3, right?
I think the 3 was a possibility, but you went with a different thing instead.
That's right. Yeah. Instead of getting the additional 2 heat, she went with the further complication.
Yeah, that's right.
Entanglement. That's what it was. Okay. In that case, awesome. I guess, can I roll again to try to heal more?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll do that then.
All right, cool. So
Spend
roll
a little
that
bit extra
1 die
downtime.
again.
Okay.
Oof. Okay, well, you fill 1 more segment anyway.
Slow going. Okay. And then I have the calculating. So during downtime, I can give myself or another crew member an extra downtime action.
Nice.
While I am spending time off my feet trying to heal, I'm gonna do a lot of searching. Actually, I probably end up taking some of Clank's amphetamines. And having a couple of days where I try to interpret this LaRose demon dream.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead and roll there. And yeah, what kind of action are you using for this in your hunt to interpret?
Maybe I don't know if consort, because I'm getting the drugs that I'm using either directly from Clank or from maybe from what is her name?
Stasia?
Stasia.
Yeah, sure.
She cut me off, so
Oh, that's right.
Well, you might have to be my new source for amphetamines if you can get it in with Stasia.
I was gonna say I'm not you, so it might work.
I mean, there's a place in the city where you can get amphetamines. It's not super difficult.
Sure. Position and effect.
Don't matter for this.
Okay. Hey.
A 6. Very nice. Okay. LaRose, Demon, Dream. With a 6, you get to fill 3 segments on that clock. Very nice.
Okay, cool. 3 away.
So, very nice. Very nice indeed. Let's see, where is that? Benji, here we go. Choose the side. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. Yeah, we got clocks moving all over the place right now. Well done, guys.
I will remember, or I forgot that I was going to do something. So if people are okay with me spending 1 more coin to do 1 more thing, I would like to train in prowess. And what it is I am driving the eek. Blank wants to be like Benji. He is pretending.
That's amazing. Very cool. All right, well, that signals the end of our downtime, so we will go ahead and draw our tale to a close for now. So our camera moves away from the lair as everybody's going about their tasks, and then it goes back out into the bay and through the crackling of the lightning wall and out over the void sea, and eventually starts to sink down beneath the waves, and you think everything is going to get pitch black, but eventually, very slowly and very subtly, almost without you noticing, there's a light that begins to glow from down below. And that's the end of our session. So, once again, I'm Eli Kurtz. I'm your Game Master. I'm going to hand it off to everybody to pimp their stuff, and then we'll do our outro, and that'll be the end of the show. So thank you very much for everybody for tuning in. I hope you had a great time. I was frustrated by the way the score went, but you know what? That's the plight of the GM sometimes. My players did great. Good job, you guys. Let's start with Derek.
I can click. I am Derek. I'm part of the Mythic Gazetteer. I have no independent projects to pimp as it is, but it's great playing as Clink tonight. We had some good rolls. I had some bad rolls in downtime, which is better there than the other place. But yeah, so it was good. Thanks for playing, guys.
Yeah, likewise. It's been good playing with you. Next, let's do Baron.
What's up, everybody? I'm Baron. I reprised the role of Isla Valeris. I run the YouTube channel RWD Gaming. We got some D&D live plays and a couple other systems. Nothing new for this week, but come check us out on the 17th, where we'll be diving back into my rendition of the Waterdeep Dragon Heist with some super awesome players that we're in Tavern Simulator mode right now, so that's been a lot of fun. But other than that, certainly found a comfortability with Blades in the Dark and Duskfall, and it's opened up some avenues for thoughts and ideas on scores and conversations, and I literally have every anticipation that season 2 is going to be the pinnacle of the gaming season. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited to have such great players to help crack this season wide open. Get everybody in some deep trouble. Last but not least, we've got Jeremy.
Speaking of deep trouble.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. My name is Jeremy. Like I said, I have the YouTube channel, the Erasmus Expeditions. I do live plays and things like that. I also talk about RPGs. Next week, I am able to head back into one of the worlds that I've made called Momentum to get our 3rd session underway. And at the end of the month, in the other campaign that I've been running, a D&D 5th edition game that has both Baron and Eli in that, that should be session 6 or 7, somewhere around there. Should be a lot of fun. Yeah. I had very low expectations for Benji's life expectancy, or his lifespan going into this season. I thought I was going to die in the very first session, and that didn't happen. I was very surprised. He's now lived through a 2nd session, and has done probably the best that I think he's ever done. So something about going off his hinges has made him a cooler customer or something. I don't know. But it's a lot of fun to, like I said, just kind of watch this guy circle the drain.
Yeah.
And just being along for the ride. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been a pleasure to watch him. And by the way, so Jeremy's momentum setting is super cool, and the Vicarill game that we're playing is also very fun. Although I will say it is fraught as hell. Every single session is a stressor. So you know, if that's your thing, tune in because it's a really good stressor. So once again, thanks everybody for tuning in, and in the meantime. And so our tale draws to a close for now, but remember to tune in next time to Ring Down Below, presented by KMGX. Until then, keep your eyes on the canals. We're on the prowl.